stranger appeared late one stormy night. He was wrapped up from head to foot. The brim of his soft felt hat hid every inch of his face, except for the eyes, which were covered by dark glasses. He staggered into the Coach and Horses Inn, more dead than alive. Mrs. Hall, the innkeeper, thought she had never seen so strange-looking a man.
Madam, a room with a fire.
If you can pay, sir, I'm sure you'll find my inn comfortable.
I can pay, madam. Here's more than enough. I want to be warmed, fed, and left alone.
Yes, sir. Will this room be all right?
Yes.
Jimson, a gentleman in room 8, come light a fire. May I take your coat, sir, to dry it out by the kitchen fire?
Don't touch me, madam. I shall dry my own clothes.
Very good, sir.
Now, madam, I am expecting some boxes in a day or two. The second they arrive, you ought to knock at my door and tell me. They are very important for my work.
Your work, sir?
Yes, my work. I have a great deal of work to do. I do not want to be interrupted. I wish to be left alone. Totally, wholly, completely alone.
With these words, the stranger slammed the door on his landlady. She thought he was the most unusual traveler who had ever stopped at the inn, but he paid lots of good cash. So Mrs. Hall went into the kitchen.
Millie, there's a guest in room 8 who wants dinner.
A guest at this time of night?
The strangest guest we've ever had. He's all bundled up so you can't see an inch of his face. Has on a pair of dark glasses and a hat pulled down over his eyes. And I noticed that his hands were all wrapped up with bandages. Been in some sort of an accident, I should say. Probably been badly scarred. That must be why he wants to be left alone.
What's his name?
I didn't ask.
You know nothing about him? He might be a murderer.
Don't be ridiculous. He's just a stranger who's been in an accident and is so ashamed of how he looks that he wants to be left alone. Completely alone.
Except for the delivery of the stranger's meals, his door remained closed. Only the porter got a glimpse of him, and he had strange things to tell.
Kept his back to me the whole time. Got me to wondering. I kept asking him questions until I thought he'd burst. He was so anxious to get me out. At last, he couldn't control his anger, and he whirled around. Would you believe it? He talked to me through a handkerchief, held the thing right up to his face. You know what I think? I think he's invisible.
Oh, you're a superstitious old fool, Jameson. Invisible.
But though the woman laughed at Jimson, her curiosity about the stranger changed to fear. On the third day after his arrival, the stranger's boxes arrived. Completely wrapped up, the stranger came down to watch the unloading.
Hurry up with those boxes. I've waited long enough.
There certainly are a lot of boxes here, sir.
And perhaps I should explain that I am a scientist. The boxes contain my materials. I've waited a long time for them, and I'm anxious to get on with my work. Surely you can understand that. Now, leave me alone.
What the man was experimenting with in room 8, no one knew. After a week, a new mystery broke out. Burglaries all over the neighborhood.
Have you heard the latest? It was at the hospital. Mrs. Hopkins was paying her bill. Nurse Craig had just put the money down on the counter when it rose straight up in the air. $40 all by itself and sailed out of the room.
And what about the business down at old Mrs. Harney's? Went out of the kitchen for 5 minutes, and when she came back, a fresh baked pie was gone.
Makes your hair stand on end just to hear it.
In my opinion, the devil himself has come to our town.
The robberies increased, but the police found themselves helpless. There were no clues of any kind. Money just seemed to vanish into thin air. Then one day, Mr. Cuss came running down the stairs of the inn, horrified.
Mr. Cuss. You look as though you've seen a ghost.
Worse, Mrs. Hall. Worse. The man and roommate.
Scared you all?
I thought I'd go in and see him. I knocked on the door and waited. There was no answer.
Perhaps he didn't hear you.
Just what I thought, so I walked in. He was working, and the minute he heard me behind him, he jammed both his hands into his coat. But not before I was able to see. To see
what, Mr. Cuss?
He has no hands, Mrs. Hall. Just 2 empty sleeves, and when he turned around, I saw something else. He has no face. The man and roommate, no hands, no face. You can see right through him, except when there's clothing on him. That's why he always wears the bandages and the hat. Jimson was right. The stranger, he's an invisible man.
Most people refused to strange story, but suddenly it seemed to explain the robberies that had been going on. How else could they have been managed, except by a burglar who was invisible? A posse was soon formed to arrest and capture the Invisible Man.
Should we knock on the door or shove right in?
No use in knocking. It would only warn him.
Jimson's right. He'd have a chance to make himself invisible.
Courage, men. We'll capture him, if there's anything to capture. Now then, 1, 2, 3, push!
We've got you now, Invisible Man.
So, my secret is out.
I don't see him.
Look, that bandage hanging in midair. Must be him. Hurry!
Is it a fight you want, fools? You're no match for me.
The bandage has dropped to the floor.
We'll never catch him once he gets them off. He'll be invisible again.
There, that's the last of it. Now, come and catch me if you can. Fools, all of you. Here, Mr. Cuss, take this.
He's killed Mr. Cuss.
I'll kill all of you before I'm through. You may have found out my secret, but you'll never track me down. Nobody can catch the Invisible Man.
The whole town was now convinced. Word spread. Dr. Kemp, a scientist in a nearby town, read about the Invisible Man in a newspaper.
An invisible man. What superstitious nonsense.
That night, Dr. Kemp finished his scientific work and went to bed. He suddenly noticed that something seemed odd.
Strange. Something's wrong. What is it, a sound? My imagination's playing tricks on me. All that nonsense about an invisible man has even gotten to me. How did that door fly shut? There's no breeze. Is there someone in this room with me?
Well, it's Kemp.
Who said that?
Well, this is lucky. Imagine seeing Kemp again after all these years.
How do you know my name? Who is it?
I thought you'd be able to guess. I'm the Invisible Man. Don't you recognize my voice? I'm Griffin. We went to school together.
Griffin?
You must remember me. I was an albino with white hair, pale skin, and red eyes. Now I am still a man like you, only invisible.
You must tell me your story. How did this happen?
It's horrible, but I shall tell you the whole story. First, you must promise not to tell a soul.
I make no bargains with anyone.
You will make a bargain with me, Dr. Kemp. Do not forget that though you cannot see me, I can see you. One false move, one sign of giving warning to anyone, and you are as good as dead. There, I see by your face that you understand. Now, you may remember that at school I experimented with changing the color of different things. Finally, by accident, I discovered a way to make any object, a piece of wood, a bit of meat, clear as glass. Suddenly, I had a brilliant idea. If I could make things change, why not myself? Why not make myself clear? Invisible.
It must have taken years of experimenting.
Yes. At last, I succeeded. But it's not going as well as I'd planned. I am invisible only when I'm undressed. With clothes on, I can be seen. One day I shall die of cold. And I cannot eat unless I'm alone, or someone would see a spoon floating in the air. Dogs nip at me. They smell me, even if they don't see me. There's no end of trouble. That's why this is so lucky, running into you.
What have I got to do with it?
Just think, man. I need a partner. With you in on the secret, I can hide in your house and no one will know. I made a mistake, Kemp, in trying to do this alone. With a partner, 1,000 things are possible.
What things?
Together, Kemp, we will rule the world. Any who disobey us, I shall kill. Yes, the city will be ours. The country. The world.
You're mad, Griffin. I'll report you.
You shall do nothing of the kind, Kemp. Either you will do what I say, or you will become my first victim.
While the invisible man slept, the terrified Dr. Kemp wrote an urgent note to his housekeeper.
Mrs. Mallory, I am a prisoner of the invisible man. Do not enter the house. Send help at once.
Slipping the note around the outside doorknob, Kemp then went back to his room and fell asleep. The invisible man, tired from his adventures, slept late. When he woke up, his voice was calm.
Well, Kemp, have you thought over what I said?
Yes, Griffin, I have, and I can't say that I like it.
What was that?
Nothing, Griffin, nothing.
I heard a door open. You fool, you've betrayed me. But they'll never catch me, and you will pay for this.
Dr. Kemp, your housekeeper told us to come.
There's no time to lose, officer.
Surround the room, men. Feel through the air with your hands.
You'll never catch me, Kemp. Never.
He's broken the window. Quick!
Look, Dr. Kemp, in the mud beneath your windowsill. A footprint.
Escaped! The invisible man has escaped. He'll take over the world.
Dr. Kemp resolved to capture the invisible man.
My friends, we must capture the madman, or he will rule us. We must begin at once. First, watch every train leaving the countryside. He must not get through. We must prevent him from eating or sleeping. Food and homes must be locked up. Keep your clothing locked up so that he freezes. Bloodhounds, get out the dogs, for they can smell what cannot be seen.
The whole town began working. Days went by, but the invisible man was not caught. Suddenly, one night, a note was pushed under Dr. Kemp's locked door.
Dr. Kemp, you have brought this situation about. Be warned, I shall have my revenge. I shall kill you tonight at 9. No matter where you are, you cannot escape the invisible man.
Is there nothing we can do? Surely you're not going to sit back and wait for him to kill you.
That is just what I'm going to do. Sit and wait. But he will not kill me. The man is mad, and in his madness, he does not see that he is giving us the chance we need.
What chance, Dr. Kemp?
Listen, officer, I have a plan.
Dr. Kemp told his plan to Officer Aide.
But, Kemp, there's great danger to you.
The risk cannot be helped. This is our only chance.
That night, as the clock strikes 9, Dr. Kemp opens his front door and slowly, alone and unarmed, begins to walk down the path. When he reaches the dark and empty street, he speaks out.
Griffin, I know when I'm beaten. I cannot escape you. Come on and do your worst.
Suddenly, Kemp feels a pair of man's hands circling his throat. Slowly, slowly, they get tighter.
Harder, Griffin. Soon it will be over.
You were a fool to try to capture me, Kemp. If you had listened to me, you might have ruled the world. But now you have brought about your own destruction.
Oh.
Kemp, are you all right?
Yes. What about Griffin? Did you get him?
I can feel his body here on the gravel. There is no heartbeat.
Oh, Dr. Kemp, are you all right?
I am, Mrs. Mallory.
It was a stroke of genius, Doctor. Genius.
I knew he would try to kill me with his bare hands. If he had a weapon, he would be easy to spot, and he must have guessed I would be watched. But what he did not realize was that by watching what happened to me, you would be able to tell his position and shoot him down.
Poor madman. To think he was brilliant enough to make such an important scientific discovery, but that he couldn't use it for his own good or for the benefit of mankind.
Look, Dr. Kemp, the dead man.
He's becoming visible again.
How horrible. Look at the face. Such madness, such pain and grief in its twisted features.
Oh, I can't bear to look. It's so hideous. I almost wish he were invisible again.
Ah, if the world can learn its lesson from the story of this evil genius, we will never again know anyone mad enough to try to become what Griffin became. He has proved that there can never be any happiness for anyone who wishes to rule the world. Certainly there can be no happiness for an invisible man.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. We are now flying at an altitude of 29,000 feet and should arrive in New Orleans at 3:02 p.m. To the right of the plane and almost directly beneath us is Watts Bar Lake. Those passengers on the left can see the Watts Bar Dam and Lake Chickamauga beyond. In the distance to the east, for those with very sharp eyesight, there are the Great Smoky Mountains. Enjoy the rest of your flight. Yes?
Captain, this is Clarice. We've got trouble.
Trouble?
A passenger is locked in the washroom with Millie. It's a hijacking.
Clarice, where are the air marshals?
One of them is here with me now.
Before you put him on the intercom, one thing. What about the passengers?
They don't know a thing.
Good. Let's keep it that way. Now let me talk to the marshal.
Hello, Captain. Apparently what happened was the man walked back to the lavatory, nobody paying any attention to him. When he got there, he pulled a gun on the stewardess and forced her into the washroom. I've spoken to her through the door. So far, she's all right, but she says he's got a gun and a knife, and also a bottle he claims is nitroglycerin. He says he could blow up the whole plane with it. The stewardess says it looks oily and yellow. What do you want us to do?
Nothing. Go back to your seat. He's having Millie talk because he has her between him and the door. Let Clarice handle any communication. I'll get through the New Orleans airport for instructions.
Flight 83 calling New Orleans. Flight 83 calling New Orleans.
Clarice?
Yes, Captain.
Put an out-of-order sign on that washroom door. I don't want the passengers to know anything. And keep the curtain drawn so they don't see in. Is Millie still all right?
Yes, sir. Wait a second. She's saying something. Hello, Captain? She says he wants the plane diverted to Jacksonville, Florida, to refuel.
Where does he want to go? We have more than enough fuel for Cuba. Better have Millie remind him. This is just a 727.
Yes, sir.
Who is he, do you know?
He's on the seat chart as Charles Wagner from Hartford. He was in seat 16C on the aisle. I served him lunch when we left Kennedy.
What did he look like?
Like anybody, I guess. Middle 30s, hair a little long, but getting thin.
How much did he have to drink?
Just a beer. I'm sure he wasn't drunk. What should I do?
Nothing. Try to look busy back there in case anybody wonders why you're hanging around there.
Captain, I've radioed the New Orleans tower. I've already identified.
New Orleans. It's Mayday here. We've got a hijacker on board.
What condition?
Armed, maybe with nitroglycerin. He has one of us locked in a washroom with him.
Where does he want to go?
So far, just to Jack's. For refueling, he says.
Captain, we'll grant permission to change course to Jacksonville.
Roger. Over and out.
Captain?
Yes, Clarice?
He wants money. A ransom for the passengers in the plane. He wants it waiting for him when we get to Jacksonville. Otherwise, he says he'll kill Millie first and then blow up the plane.
How much ransom?
$250,000.
Hold on, Clarice. Calling New Orleans security. Do you still read me?
This is Jacksonville security. We read you loud and clear.
The hijacker wants $250,000.
We heard. What else does he want?
1 second. Clarice, anything else?
Yes, sir. A whole flock of things. I've scribbled them down. He wants the money in an overnight bag. Nothing smaller than 50s, nothing bigger than hundreds. Banded in $25,000 bundles. He wants the plane to land at the end of runway 180 at Jacksonville, as far from the terminal as possible.
Hold it. Security, did you get that?
We got it. Go on.
Go ahead, Clarice.
He doesn't want anyone to come near. He says the passengers can get out, but when he opens the door from the washroom, if there's anyone besides me, he'll blow up the plane with a nitro. And he wants 2 parachutes.
Parachutes?
Well, that's what he said.
What else?
That's all, Captain. He says further instructions will be given when we're on the ground.
Right. Security, we'll want to be cleared for landing on runway 180.
Roger.
And what about the money he wants?
It'll be there. I don't know how long he'll keep it, but he'll get it, as well as the parachute.
Good. I'd better speak to the passengers. They'll wonder why we're landing in Jacksonville. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain again. Due to adverse weather conditions, we are forced to make our landing at the Jacksonville, Florida airport. A company representative on the ground will explain the delay and arrange any necessary transportation. We regret this inconvenience. Now, please fasten your seatbelts, bring your seats to the vertical position, and observe the no smoking sign. Clarice, are the passengers gone?
Yes, Captain. We're the only ones left on board.
Where do we go from here?
Just a second. Captain, he says first to head toward Miami. He wants you to maintain minimum flying speed. He says 200 knots will do, and to stay at 2,000 feet altitude. And he wants the passenger entrance door left unlatched from the outside.
Captain, this is Jacksonville Security. Is it possible to jump from your plane?
It is from this one. This guy obviously selected a 727 on purpose. Couldn't do it from a 707 or a 747. He either must know something about flying or he studied up for this caper.
For $250,000, I imagine a man would be willing to study, or even to make his first parachute jump. Captain, do you have any suggestion?
Well, I suppose we could keep over water. He wouldn't jump there. It might give you time to scramble a few planes and meet us somewhere. He won't stand still for that water bit very long, but if you have a few planes follow, it might help.
If he free falls even 500 feet, Captain, they'll never see him at night.
At least they could try.
I'll buy that. I'll get you cleared for following the coast as long as you can. We'll get other aircraft out of the way. Try to hold over water until Daytona, if you can. We'll be with you by then at the latest, all right?
All right, Jax.
Captain, he's getting nervous.
Tell him we're on our way.
Captain, security here. What's our boy doing now?
God knows. He'll undoubtedly be coming out of his little washroom soon, and he'll see we're over water. Then we'll see.
Keep this radio link open.
Don't worry.
Captain?
Yes, Clarice?
He's going to come out.
Clarice, that microphone cord should reach to the next seat. I want you to strap yourself in. And I want Millie to strap herself in as soon as she comes out. That nut can jump or fall for all I care, but I don't want either of you girls to take any chances of falling out near that open door. Do you hear?
Yes, sir. Just a second. I'm strapped in, Captain. Captain, they're out.
How's Millie?
She looks terrible. Millie, sit down. Strap yourself in. Captain, he's looking down at the water. He says either you turn over land so he can jump right now, or he'll kill Millie and then me. Captain, I think he means it.
Captain, turn over land.
Captain.
Yes, Clarice.
He says...
Let me talk to him.
Just a second. Captain, he won't talk into the microphone, but he says fly to Alcala and then turn straight south for Naples. Same speed, same altitude as now. He says you can come out of the cockpit by Naples. He'll be gone by then.
Do it his way, Captain. Don't take any chances. Security planes have you in sight, and we've also got every town's police notified to be on the lookout for the chute. He won't get far.
There's a lot of empty space in Central Florida, but whatever you say. In that case, why not get us cleared from Naples over to Miami and make us some hotel reservations for the night?
Will do.
Captain, he wants us to get up into the cockpit before he jumps. Doesn't want us to see him.
All right, but hang on. I'll bank slightly to keep you away from that door. Come ahead. Millie, are you all right?
I'll be okay.
Naples coming up. Mike, why don't you go back and take a look? Be careful.
Right. All right, Captain. He's made the jump. He's gone.
We'll pick him up. Don't worry. We've got the whole state covered under your route. Well, Captain, you're cleared to Miami. Good night and good luck.
Thanks. Well, team, it's been a long day. I can't wait to hit that hotel room. I believe someone from Jacksonville Airport called and made reservations for us. I'm Captain Thorpe.
Yes, sir. Room 102 and 104. Just sign here. Dave, would you please help these people with their bags?
Oh, no, I can manage my own. And really, that's quite all right. Clarice, Millie, will you join Mike and me in our room for a drink?
Sure, Captain.
Let's get that bag on the bed and open it up.
1 second. You've waited all this while. You can hold on a little longer. Millie, would you draw those curtains?
Sure.
Will you look at that?
Let me get close to it. I deserve it.
It's hard to believe, isn't it?
It looks like even more than I expected. Let me just hold some for a minute so I can take a look. No, I was wrong. I can't believe it either. Let me have mine.
Well, team, 50,000 each isn't bad for a few hours' work, plus a little careful planning. Especially considering that it's tax-free.
50,000 each. I ought to get more. 5 long hours crammed into a tiny washroom with a dead man. That should be worth a bigger part of our take.
You, Millie? What about me? I had to push him out of that door, and the way it was swinging, I could have been brained. Not to mention falling out with him.
I'm the one that had to kill the poor guy. Isn't that worth more?
Charles Wagner, the hard-luck guy who went to the washroom at the wrong time. I wonder what he did for a living.